Hi students, I am back with a new video lecture and this video lecture series you have been watching many videos regarding anatomy, digestion and absorption chapter. Now we'll start new chapter, breathing and exchange of gases. So in the chapter of breathing and exchange of gases, this is the first video lecture, and this is again Muhammad Usman Khan. You can contact me, and the number is shown here. And I request all the students who are watching these videos to subscribe my channel and like and share, and as many as your friends are there, you share them these videos links, so that knowledge is the only thing which increases through sharing. So do not forget to subscribe, like and share. So we'll step into our video lecture, and we'll step into our concepts. So as usual, we'll start our video lecture with a beautiful quotation here. Develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow. So students, if we develop a passion for learning, then we will never cease to grow. So always we must be learning in all our stages of life. We must be learning. So if we have a habit of learning, we will never cease to grow. So the topics to be covered in this lecture are types of respiration, respiratory structures in different animal groups, characteristics of respiratory surface, special respiratory pigments. The topics you have in this lecture we are going to cover are mentioned. We'll go one by one. So respiration, it is exchange of O2 and CO2 between environment and cells of body where respiration, it is exchange of O2 and CO2 between environment and cells of body where organic nutrients are broken down enzymatically to release energy. So this is the definition of respiration. Respiration is nothing but it is exchange of O2 and CO2 between environment and cells of the body. So when O2 enters into our body, this oxygen which enters into our body, it is useful to break down the organic nutrients enzymatically and to release energy. And after this reaction, CO2 is released, that must go out. So this exchange of O2 and CO2 between environment and cells of the body where organic nutrients are broken down enzymatically to release energy. Types of respiration. So here the respiration is again divided into aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is again divided into direct and indirect. Types of respiration. So in the direct respiration, body cells exchange gases with environment without aid of any respiratory organ and transportation by blood. Body cells exchange gases with environment without aid of any respiratory organ and transportation by blood. This is direct respiration, which is seen in unicellular organisms, sponges, in unicellular organisms and sponges, and in cnidarians, flatworms, roundworms, and insects. So, in all these organisms, we can see direct respiration and indirect respiration. There is a respiratory surface, and blood is involved in transportation of gases. If blood is involved in transportation of gases between respiratory surface and body cells, organ having the respiratory surface is called respiratory organ. So if all these things are involved, blood is involved and respiratory respiratory organ having the respiratory surface is called respiratory organ, and if the blood is involved between respiratory surface and body, then it is called indirect respiration. So now we'll see what are the respiratory structures in different animal groups. So there are different respiratory structures in different animal groups. So this is respiratory structures in different animal groups, we can see here. So in protozoans, we can see protozoans such as amoeba, the plasma membrane will be the respiratory structure, and in sponges and cnidarians and platyhelminthes, body surface will be the respiratory surface. Next, in annelids, you can see annelids respire through skin, and in Nereis you can see parapodia and external gills in amphitrite. And respiratory structures in different animal groups, we can see in arthropods, in prawns and crayfish there are gills, branchial respiration is present, and insects, centipedes, millipedes, ticks, tracheal respiration is present and no respiratory pigment. In arachnids such as spiders and scorpions, we can see book lungs are present, and in king crab, that is limulus, book gills are present. So all these are given in class 11 NCERT in the chapter animal diversity. We can see that different respiratory organs are present in different arthropods, and here in mollusks, Unio, Ctenidia are present, and in Pila, Ctenidia and pulmonary sac is also seen, and in echinoderms such as starfish, the respiratory structures are tube feet and dermal branchiae, and in sea cucumber, it is cloacal respiratory tree is present, and in protochordates you can see pharyngeal gill wall. So all these are the respiratory structures present in different animals. We can see in cyclostomes fishes, gills, internal gills are present, and Water has 4 to 8 ml of O2 per liter. It is 40 times less than air. So air has 210 ml per liter of oxygen, and in lung fishes, that is dipnoi fishes, the respiratory structures are lungs. So respiratory structures in different animal groups, you can see amphibians. In amphibians, they respire with the help of they respire with the help of skin, that is cutaneous respiration is also seen, and they also respire through bucco-pharyngeal respiration is also seen in amphibians. And in adult amphibians, you can see lungs are present, pulmonary respiration, but the lungs are poorly developed in frog. In tadpole larva of frog and Necturus, Proteus, Siren and Oxotol larva of American tiger, salamander have external gills are present. Reptiles have lungs. Reptiles also have lungs. Some species of turtles show cloacal respiration also. Cloacal respiration also seen in some reptiles, such as turtles. Birds have lungs. Air sacs are also present. In mammals, we can see lungs. Even in case of aquatic mammals like whales, also there are lungs. Dolphins also lungs are present. Water is 800 times denser than air, so great effort is required to move water over respiratory surface. Water contains 40 times less oxygen than air. Oxygen diffuses very slowly through water. Warmer the water, less oxygen it can hold. So there are a few problems related to air breathing. So respiratory surface should be well protected and kept moist. Always the respiratory surface must be well protected and it must be kept moist, and lots of water is lost by evaporation from respiratory surface. So there is a lot of water lost by evaporation from respiratory surface. So here are the characteristics of respiratory surface. How the respiratory surface must be present. So you can see here. A respiratory surface must be richly supplied with blood vessels, and surface area must be very large. It should be extremely thin. It should be kept moist. It must be permeable to respiratory gases. It should be in direct contact with environment. Structure of respiratory surface depends mainly on size of animal, whether it lives in water or on land, and its metabolic demand. Endothermal animals, warm-blooded animals have larger surface area than similar sized ectotherms. So respiratory surface must be richly supplied with blood vessels, so that it is the blood is a medium here. So if the blood is highly supplied to respiratory organ, then the exchange of gases can take place very easily, and surface area must be very large to have easy adequate amount of exchange can take place. It should be extremely thin, so that there are no obstacles for exchange of gases. It should be kept moist. It should be permeable to respiratory gases, and it should be in direct contact with environment, so that the exchange of gases can take place very easily. Structure of respiratory surface depends mainly on size of animal, whether it lives in water or on land, and its metabolic demand. So if the size of animal is bigger, it needs a larger respiratory area, respiratory surface. So endothermal animals, that is warm-blooded animals, have larger surface area than similar-sized ectotherms. So special respiratory pigments. So we can see here there are a lot of special respiratory pigments in different animals. First of all, we'll go with hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, red colored, it is a iron containing pigment. It is red in color, present in RBCs in all vertebrates and dissolved in plasma in annelids. Hemocyanin, that is a copper containing respiratory pigment, blue colored. It is present in plasma of mollusks and crustaceans. Hemoerythrin, it is also an iron containing pigment, red colored, present in chlorocrunin. It is a green colored pigment present in plasma in polychaetes and Sabella serpula. Pinaglobin, pinaglobin is manganese containing pigment, brown colored, present in plasma in some mollusks. Next, in echinochrome is iron containing pigment, red colored, present in coelomic fluid of sea urchins. Vanadium, it is present in urochordates, and molybdenum is present in echinoderms, holothurians, that is sea cucumbers. So these are all the different respiratory pigments which can be seen present, which are present in different animals. They have their role in carrying the oxygen. So each pigment has its own speciality. Myoglobin, it is a red colored oxygen storing pigment in red muscle fibers. So one molecule of myoglobin combines with one molecule of oxygen, and its dissociation curve is hyperbolic. It passes oxygen from blood to mitochondria directly. So it is a red colored oxygen storing pigment in red muscle fiber. So it is a red colored oxygen storing pigment in red muscle fiber. One molecule of myoglobin combines with one molecule of oxygen. Its dissociation curve is hyperbolic. It passes oxygen from blood to mitochondria directly. So here we can see a special pigment which is present in mammals' red muscle fibers. It is an oxygen storing pigment. So you have to remember the difference between hemoglobin and myoglobin. So myoglobin is an oxygen storing pigment and hemoglobin is an oxygen carrying pigment. Okay, so the dissociation curve is different in hemoglobin. For hemoglobin it is a different dissociation curve. So it passes oxygen from blood to mitochondria directly. Indirect respiration has two phases: external respiration and internal respiration. These are preceded by breathing or ventilation. Breathing or ventilation, it's a mechanical process which brings in fresh air, water into respiratory organ and takes out foul air or water. It involves exchange of air between respiratory organs and surrounding environment. So breathing is a mechanical process which brings in fresh air and lets the foul air go out. External respiration, it involves exchange of respiratory gases between blood and inhaled air or water at respiratory surface. So blood transports gases. So in the external respiration, we'll see what is breathing. Breathing, we came to know that the fresh air should go inside the lungs and the foul air should come out of the lungs. And what is external respiration? So it involves exchange of respiratory gases between blood and in respiratory surface. So respiratory surface will be having there is an exchange between the blood and respiratory surface, exchange of gases, that is external respiration. So internal respiration, also called tissue or cellular respiration, it consists of diffusion of O2 from blood into tissue cells through tissue fluid. Enzymatic breakdown of nutrients producing CO2, H2O and energy. Storage of part of liberated energy in phosphate bonds of ATP. Diffusion of CO2 into blood from tissues through tissue fluid. So in the internal respiration, we can see there are 4 steps, 4 different things occurring. So first of all, the diffusion of O2, the O2 which was present in blood, it should go into the tissues, and inside the tissues, with the help of O2, the nutrients break down and CO2 release, H2O release and energy released. The energy which is released, it is stored in the form of phosphates, and the CO2 which is released, it should again enter into the blood and into blood from tissues. In the tissues, it is CO2 is present in the tissues and it goes into the blood. So okay, you have understood the phases of indirect respiration as we have discussed in the initial beginning of this video, that is direct and indirect respiration. There are phases of indirect respiration. So in the indirect respiration, there is external and respiration and internal respiration. So external respiration is just exchange of gases between blood and air, and internal respiration you have the diffusion, enzymatic breakdown, storage and diffusion. So in this video lecture we have discussed many things regarding respiration. So in the next lecture we will be discussing the further things. Until then, bye.